So, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with a short introduction about our panelists. So, right here on my left, we have Dr. Juliet Mathew. Dr. Juliet Mathew is the Director of a Clinical Skills and Simulation Center in IMU University. She is also the chairperson of the Selangor branch of the Malaysian Medical Association. She is a general practitioner with a medical degree from Kasturba Medical College in India and a master's degree in counseling from the University of Malaya. For the past 4 years, she has served as a clinical skills and counseling lecturer at IMU University. And in 2021, she launched the first cohort of the grief and bereavement model within the Master of Counseling program. Since January 2023, Dr. Mathew has been the director of the Clinical Skills and Simulation Center, where she is responsible for strategic planning and the management of IMU University's immersive interactive learning space, virtual reality room, and simulated patient program. Dr. Mathew is also the first woman to lead the Selangor branch of the Malaysian Medical Association, a milestone achieved 42 years after the association's founding. With a dynamic committee, she upholds MMA's vision of serving as a unified voice for the medical community, addressing critical issues affecting the profession, healthcare system, and public health. Currently, Dr. Mathew is passionate about cultivating compassionate and ethical doctors and future grief counselors to meet the needs of the multicultural community. And beside her, we have Dr. Anasuya Jegatevi Jegatesan. And Dr. Anasuya holds a doctorate in counseling and has worked at Help University and Taylor's University in leading various undergraduate and postgraduate psychology and counseling programs. Dr. Anasuya received her research doctorate for counseling psychology from the University of South Australia in 2007 and has since been active in the academic line dedicated towards counseling and psychology. And after her stint as an associate professor at Help University for almost a decade, Dr. Anasuya has since went on to become the psychology program director at Taylor's University, and in 2020 became the director of the Center for Human Excellence and Development and the program director for the university's Master of Counseling in Psychology, and currently at University of Cyberjaya. And finally, our personal finance expert in the house, we have Mr. Syed Mohd Fauzi, Syed Hussein. He is the Deputy Manager of the Research Development Department at AKPK, Agency Counseling dan Pengurusan Kredit. No doubt a name which most Malaysians will hear about in the personal finance space. And Mr. Syed Mohd Fauzi, Syed Hussein, he has also graduated from University of Malaya in microbiology. Yes. Surprise, surprise. Yes, way back. If you ever heard of your parents going like, whatever you study and what you do, this is it. But he went on to complete his master's degree in education in science in 2012 and began his career at the University of Kuala Lumpur's Royal College of Medicine in the microbiology and parasitology unit. And went on to teach at the School of Pharmacy at Masa University and later on at KPJ Healthcare, and taught medical-related subjects and research methodologies. And after 8 years in teaching, he went on to serve the Center of Quality Assurance in UniKL for 5 years and was involved in curriculum review, ISO Quality Management System, Code of Practice for Program Accreditation, and the Engineering Accreditation Council and Engineering Technology Accreditation Council audit. Yes, if you the Asian kid in me is really speaking right now. And joined AKPK in 2019 as a research coordinator, mainly to monitor AKPK's research progress, and also one of our financial education speakers, providing advice on personal financial management. And right now, he also delivers briefings to government and private agencies, higher education institutions, non-governmental organizations, and various GLCs. And yes, welcome, Dr. Sanasuya, Juliet, and Chip Fauzi with us. So without further ado, reminder once again to everybody watching at home, please don't hesitate to send in your questions. Once our panelists have completed our discussion, we will be taking your questions and we'll be getting to them once we're done. So yes, hit that send button, whatever's on your mind, and we'll try to get back to you. So we will begin first and foremost with Dayana, have a short introduction. What is torn between desires and what that's all about, and then we will delve into our expert opinions. Over to you, Dayana.
Hi everyone. Sorry about that. Okay, so my book is mainly about my journey as a mental health survivor, and it's coming from the heart. Like it's a super honest, no holds barred kind of book. But it also is about my relationship with my finances. I just realized as I wrote the book that shopping has become an addiction to me because through shopping, I feel like personally validated. I feel like people would like me more if I shop for things, like expensive things that impress people. But my shopping addiction has also landed me in a huge debt, which is not so good. And it kind of ruined my relationship a bit with my husband because sometimes I would financially cheat on him, if you have heard of the term financial cheating. So, yeah, I hope through this book, it will shed some light on those who's in a similar situation as I am. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diana. So that was Diana and her inspiration for writing Torn Between Desires. And now let's delve into the topic of shopping addiction. And this was something that came up in the course of researching this topic and to realize that shopping addiction as it stands right now from a psychological research perspective, it has various right now perspectives on what defines shopping addiction. So while there may not be a consensus among the research community at this point, for the sake of this discussion, we shall keep the parameters to the personal experience of our author today. So, and how consumer culture, as pervasive as it is, we are bombarded every day with messages, be it on social media or peer pressure on what spending means to us, you know, and when you spend, what sort of lifestyle is promised to us? What does spending yield you? What can spending do for us? And with that in mind, let's, I think we'll go around the board into, with our experts in mental health first. Dr. Juliet, maybe from a grief counseling perspective, Dr. Anasuya, and then Chip Fauzi, as to what they have seen in their field of work, whenever they speak with their clients, what have they seen among Malaysians when it comes to compulsive spending?
Thank you, Natalie. And thank you, Diana. The book was amazing to read because it had all the openness of the addiction that you're talking about that we want our viewers to hear today, right? So in my opinion, right, it's an addiction just like many other addictions. What we need to understand from this is the awareness, right, that we have such an addiction in the first place. We're talking about experiences. Yes, I would have had one or two clients similarly experiencing the same. What I'd like to highlight here is first that we have come out in the open with this, that awareness, and we are sharing it with everyone. And so kudos to that. Kudos to you for that, right? It's a very brave move, and it takes someone with so much of courage to actually do this, to help everyone out there going through the same thing, if not more intense than it is, right? So the awareness and knowledge is the first thing that I'd like to highlight here, that we are talking about it today. And just like any other addiction, it's a stigma in our society, right? So my thoughts about it and sharing about it would come a little bit more in the context of this later. But I just want to thank you for bringing this out in the open first. Thank you.
Okay, I echo what is said by the earlier panelists. I'd also like to add, when you go through the book, you'll notice that shopping addiction is layered on other mental health issues. And suicide was quite a big part of the discussion, especially in the earlier chapters. And then shopping addiction came in. And this is one thing that we have to understand about certain behaviors. Not all behaviors, has to be from a negative place in the start. When she wanted to handle the depression, she turned to shopping because it gave her a dopamine boost. And initially, it's something good. It stops her from going to the real negative side of self-harm or suicide. But when that boost goes out of control and it becomes an addiction, it becomes something else, then what was a helper turns into a monster. And then we blame ourselves for for having this monster without recognizing that at one point it was a helper. So we look at ourselves and we judge ourselves negatively. And this, when you see her journey, and with mental health issues, when there's a lot of kindness that I can show to her when I read the book, there's a lot of emotions that I can see where I'm going, wow, she did so much. But she doesn't see it in her own book, even when she's writing about it. And that's the sad part of mental health, is when we look at ourselves, we see ourselves from such a harsh perspective. We don't recognize the strength it took to survive. And, sometimes we start off with something and it becomes something else, but we started it to survive. And it helps us to survive. So whether it's any kind of addiction, the starting point, may have been good. And as it carries on and we develop and we look at it's now a problem, managing it as a problem and not saying, I am this problem, is so important. And this is one thing I did see in the book, where the author has actually managed to say that shopping addiction is shopping addiction, and I am me, and I am managing this shopping addiction. And she's doing it really well. Instead of saying, I am the problem, and I am the problem, and carrying that inside. So when we deal with mental health issues, if we can externalize it, we can see it, we can look at it, we can heal it outside of ourselves, then we can move forward a lot better. And I think I saw that in this book's journey. And, I think that, the amount of self-discovery and that journey that you went through needs to be commended. And I hope that if anybody takes away anything from that, is you may be in the beginning part of her journey, the middle or the end, but it is a journey. And unfortunately, as long as we're alive, the journey never stops. So you have to keep on at it. So thank you for doing that.
All right. Hello, everyone. Once again, hello, everyone. All right. Okay. Like in my case, I'm Fauzi from AKPK. In AKPK, I work in Financial Education and Wellbeing Research Center. We do research. Yeah. So I would love to share our research findings in which we have conducted our research in 2022, which we focus on consumer spending habits. Yeah. So to start with, in statistics that we have, there are 31% of Malaysians who are compulsive and very extremely compulsive in buying things. Yeah, based on our in 2022, 31% compulsive. Yeah, but this compulsive doesn't mean that they have mental illnesses, but they are compulsive in terms of buying. So since we are in KPK, we focus on finances. So I observe, I share a little bit. Yeah, on our study, found that average Malaysian consumers were non-compulsive. Average were non-compulsive, but only 31%, which is high numbers, is compulsive. But overall, average Malaysian were non-compulsive, and at score of 4.3, start from 0, prudent, up to extremely compulsive, 10, and the compulsive line border is 5.1, but average Malaysian were non-compulsive, score at 4.3. But we have to, there's something that we have to highlight here for monitoring purposes, that the score is bordering on compulsive for, 5.1. Yeah? All right, that is number one. And based on 7 indicators of compulsive buying behavior indicators, and we observe the frequency of online shopping. We focus on online shopping among youth. There are 12%, they browse online few times a week, 12%. And there are 48% of them, consumers, browse few times in a month. And 40% of consumers browse online few times in a year, right? And this is something that I would love to share. Majority of were comfortable shopping online and will continue the new normal after COVID-19 ends. So as what we can see now, everyone is comfortable to shop online with the digital platform that provided to us, BNPL, Buy Now, Pay Later, regardless age. You will be able to buy anything. You don't have to have the credit cards to buy now. You don't have the money, you also can buy things now. Online digital platform. This is something that we have to do, that we have in plan also. And there are 60% shop online at least a few times in a month, and 85% of consumers will practice a new normal even after COVID-19 ends. And most consumers believed they were assessing their affordability carefully. So that means it shows that our consumers are very prudent. Our consumers are very observant. They observe their affordability before they buy things. That's good. But, however, they may not be applying structured financial management methods, which these methods I will share in the next session after this. Yeah, and talking about compulsive just now, I may not be the right person to speak about impulsive and compulsive. I just want to share the analogy, simple analogy. If let's say you have a child at home, you don't want him, if let's say he's walking on a slippery floor, what would we advise him to do? If he doesn't want him, we don't want him to fall, what do we advise him to do? If let's say he's walking, he's running on the slippery floor, what do we advise him? What is the word? Slow down. Be careful. Same goes to our financial. Slow down, be careful. The term is impulses. If you do it impulses, you see it, you want it. You see it, you run. You see it, you eat. You see it, you jump. Without thinking first, you may fall. Same goes to the finances. Once you have to slow down a bit, you have to think first, then only you decide. Then only you could control your finances. That's it from me.
Well, thank you, everybody. So that is an initial look at compulsive spending, and with examples given from Malaysian life and how the pandemic, there being such a pivotal factor in how we hit that buy button, or maybe you don't have to think so much. Yes, I must admit, even being part of friend groups and all that, we will egg each other on sometimes. We even have some friends who are the dedicated devil's advocate, self-proclaimed, that, don't come to me when you have. In all probability, yes. Yeah. If you, ladies and gentlemen, if you wonder whether, you've never had that friend before, are you that friend? Yes. No, just saying. But yes, we've had, personally, there are some friends who profess to be devil's advocate that don't come to them when you're tempted to spend because they will tell you to do it. Yeah. That's just my anecdotal experience. But it's interesting to hear that we have stats, we have numbers, and how new payment options such as buy now, pay later is changing the way we spend. And if we think of finance as something to proceed with caution, then that would be a whole shift in how we view our spending. So that's on the topic of shopping addiction initially.
Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit on this buy now business. The dopamine hit, and it's mentioned in the book, that is the biggest issue. That is the addictive factor. And, companies are very good at doing the research. They have done the research. A lot of companies use it as a trap. Even in online games with children, something called loot boxes, which is now banned in certain countries, where they understand that, you can trap children into gambling. And it does become gambling because you don't know exactly what you're going to get from a loot box, but you're supposed to buy. So I just want to add that this impulse buying is a thing that is studied greatly by companies, and they have traps where they trap people. And, like in a gambling house, the house always wins. In these online shopping, big business, the big business always wins. So please be careful and understand that it is a trap.
Yep. So therefore, that is the very, very grave concern about how if next time you tune into any Twitch gaming stream, even something as innocuous as a loot box can send very young, impressionable minds down the slope. And also the way we've always been told that how the media operates, but even now how insidious it can get. How you may be ever so unconscious, how avenues and loopholes to spend. So on that note, I'll invite Dr. Anasuya to delve into a bit more between that link of shopping addiction and mental health. Things like emotional triggers and then psychological consequences. And of course, later on, our panelists may also chime in on what you've seen from your clients in the Malaysian context.
Okay. So the first thing I think I've already mentioned is the dopamine hit. And that is the common one. I think that's where the author got in, our wonderful author got into this trap as well, from the dopamine hit of online shopping. That's the most common. But there are other reasons that people, do have online shopping. Sometimes it is the only time you feel you have power, or you feel that you have some control over your life when you can get these things. So I've had clients who had issues when they don't buy for themselves. They buy for other people. And their justification is, I'm not buying for me, but it's for my daughter, it's for my friend, it's for other people. So I can justify the purchase because it's for other people. I'm very generous, I'm giving it away. Yeah, you're still overspending and you're not considering what's happening. That is still on the positive side of it. But I've also had some really bad, bad individuals involved in shopping addiction, where shopping addiction becomes a power in the family, because then they control the finance, because they take shopping and they use the fact that they are buying so they get the lump of the family funds. So you've got like 4 people in the family, but 1 or 2 earners in the family, and all that money has to go to this person spending, and they use all kinds of excuses, but they literally spend the money of the family into financial ruin. And you can't really say that this is done well, or else the other two were done without maliciousness. This can be done with maliciousness because you don't want anybody else to spend. You want to be the spender. You want to be in control of the funds. And the sad thing about a lot of these issues, it does come from self-esteem. A lot of the mental health issues, when we're looking at why we need these addictions, is because I am not happy with me. I am not comfortable with who I am. So if I do these things, then these things make me happy. It makes other people respect me. It makes other people see I have money. So when I go to a shopping center and I spend, and people see me spend, then they know I am somebody. So that is also a huge part of it, self-esteem. Look, self-esteem is critical. And most of us, our self-esteem is hit in childhood. From experiences when we were young, from rejection, from comparison between you and your siblings. In Malaysia, you and your cousins. SPM, how many people did they call? Never satisfied with your marks. I mean, we've all been there. But all these things eat into our self-confidence of who we are and our self-esteem. And if we do not find ways to internalize and get strength from an internal self-esteem, then we keep relying on these things. And it doesn't just have to be shopping addiction, it's actually any kind of addiction. That's where one of the major issues of where it comes from. So when people are doing these type of things, it is a sign of a huge crack in the self-esteem and a need for healing, which that's, like I said, a journey that individuals have to go on to find that healing.
Yeah. So just like as I mentioned earlier, addiction can come in many forms. And here we are talking about shopping, right? And like what Dr. Anasuya said, it comes from the core insights of how we feel about ourselves. And I like that word, trying to take control of ourselves, trying to prove that, hey, I got this, I can do this, right? But I'm seeing a different aspect also from your book, which I like. It is your coping mechanism here. You've gone through a lot. I've read the book, I laughed at it at certain points, I enjoyed it. It has a very open concept. But what I'm seeing is this was your coping way of managing it, managing certain things that's been going on. So I'm seeing resilience. I'm seeing that fact that I need to do something about this, so I have diverted my mind into this, which is giving the dopamine kick and all that. It's making me feel better, but now it has just crossed a certain line and gone into severity, right? So with that same track, I feel that coping and resilience is there. We can just work on diverting it. We can work on this. Right? That's my thoughts on this.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Anasuya and Dr. Juliet. So now that we've set the scene, this is our reality in Malaysia now. Spending becomes ever so, can feel like a slippery slope sometimes if we don't have if we're grappling with self-esteem issues to begin with, and what more if you are young and identities are still being formed and you're very impressionable, and if you do not get good, what do you call that? Tying your identity and your self-worth to a healthy anchor apart from your spending habits. So yes, this is our landscape right now in Malaysia. Now, for our audience watching out there, well, what's something actionable that can be done if you find we all have the occasional impulse buy? In fact, when we were researching and looking up for this event, many people admitted to the casual, occasional, like, yeah, I hit buy, all of a sudden, and then and boom, suddenly I've spent 200 ringgit, for example. It's a common thing. So when do we, how do you say, rein in our impulses? And if we find ourselves in this spiral of impulsively and compulsively spending, what can we do about we know the usual, seek professional help, okay, but in Malaysia, what are the channels we've got apart from what can we do?
I'm a bit afraid to answer that because I was wondering if I was one of the 31% there doing the impulsive buying and compulsive buying online. I think in the book as well, there are a lot of channels that has been advocated about, seeking help, mental health help, seeing a psychiatrist. To me, the most important help will be one that is constant and persistent, and that comes from the people who are around you, right? Going for a counseling session, seeking the hospitals, the psychiatrists and all, yes, it will help. But you need someone by your side to be the bell ringer, the supporter, the check mechanism. And that person with unconditional care is someone that you need to unconditionally trust as well. That's the most important thing if you ask me, because it's there, it's out there. The resources are out there. There are many, many counseling centers, there are many good psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors. Malaysia has it all. You can reach out. But the ones next to you, the supporters, a big clap for the caregivers, really. Yeah, that's what you need.
There was one thing also mentioned in the book about shopping for doctors. I am actually going to advocate for all Malaysians, when you have counselors, shop for the counselors you like. Now, 20 years ago when I first started, that was not available. There were so few counselors out there. Nowadays, there are a lot. And when you talk about talk therapy or counseling therapy, it is the relationship between the client and the counselor is critical for the counseling sessions to work. So in other words, if you don't like the counselor, change. Don't be scared of changing them, all right? But, keep going until you find the method or the therapeutic method that fits. There are lots of different methods out there. CBT, was used with the client. I personally don't use CBT. I use a bit more psychodynamic and, psychodynamic therapies, CTRT. But there are different therapies that suit different people. So for please, don't think that I have to go and see this person. No. Shop. That's one thing. I'll encourage shopping. Okay? Encouraging the shopping. Okay? Window shopping for counselors. Okay? No, another one is, if it hasn't become an issue yet, so talk about some preventive measures to stop you from shopping online. I'm going to admit, I don't shop online that much, but Grab, Food Panda, that one is the drama. You come home, you're supposed to cook food, bought food to cook, too tired, Food Panda. That's, and it does add up. It genuinely does add up. And so one of the things I do when it comes to shopping is, but I can't do it for Food Panda because I'm hungry, so I have to buy it now. But for normal shopping, what I do is I never actually, number one, I never save my credit card onto the app so that I have to go and take my wallet, physically walk away and take the wallet. And I never go buy now. I always put it in the shopping cart. So then I leave it because I have to take my wallet and then somebody distracts me or something happens and I forget about it. And then a few hours later or the next day I come back and then I look at it again and I say, oh yeah, actually I don't need it, so I can delete it. Or if I really need it, then I'll buy it. So, at least for me, that has worked to at least limit the physical buying stuff. Not sure about the Food Panda stuff, but the physical buying stuff, yeah. The Food Panda stuff more when the bill comes in at the end of the day and then you realize I spent that much on food, oh my God. Yeah, then you feel bad.
All right. Okay. If you want to talk about online shopping, right? Because we can't dictate what can we buy or what should we buy and what shouldn't we buy. Because if we focus back on the Abraham Maslow, the hierarchy of needs, we have the 5 levels of the pyramids. Of the bottom, the base of the pyramid, we have food. We need food to live. And the second one, security, right? And the third one is the love. The fourth one, self-esteem. And the fifth one is a self-actualization, right? So I'm sure that what happened to Dayana before, I think it went up to the 5th level of the pyramid, self-actualization. Who you want to see yourself, in front of people. What you want to see, what people see you as a person. self-actualization. But answering Dr. Nisriya's the question is now, in finances, we should know, I keep mentioning to other people, okay, you should prioritize your needs, not your wants. But what is your needs? What are your needs? What are your wants? Maybe my needs, it could be your wants. Your wants could be my need. It's different compared to other people, right? But if you go back to the Maslow, if we focus on the first two bases of the pyramid, right? We focus on the food and security. Are these satisfied enough or not? Are these completed in our life or not? If they're not completed, they're not satisfied enough, we focus on the food and security. Then only we climb up to the next level of the pyramid in finances. Thank you.
I think we're hearing a lot about this, but I want to just suggest one practical tip to this for all who with shopping compulsiveness. The fact that we need a supporting person was there, right? So I like the rule of 5 and everything. I like the number 5. Apparently, it's good for my birth date and all that. So 5 rules is that 5 things you ask yourself before you do it, right? And just like we teach patients with alcohol addiction, do I really need this? Do I want this? What will happen if I don't have this? What's the worst case scenario if I don't get this? And once you've answered that 4, the 5th one is your check mechanism. You ask the same 4 questions to that person to answer you. Right? So then you have a thoughtful process going on there about, do I really need this item in my basket? Right? So it just sort of a form of journaling, writing down what you need, but you're channeling your thoughts. We call it thought transformation. But as long as you get that 5 questions answered reasonably, then you proceed. Yeah? Just a practical tip.
Well, thank you, everyone. And so apparently right now, some of the actionable things we as Malaysians can do. So number 1, surround ourselves with the right people. So getting professional help for whatever you're going through, be it on the mental health front or the personal finance front, is definitely an actionable thing. But prior to that, surrounding yourself with the right people, it's the people beside you that help you to whatever it is your goal, yeah, in your mental health or financial health journey. And if you get professional help, don't be afraid to choose for whatever suits your needs and know those needs. And maybe don't save your credit card information on the app if it helps. And also, this is a rule of 5 as well. And at that point, we do have a question.
Can I add one more thing? Because I realized we didn't talk about this. Teach your children finance. Teach your children that ATM in the credit card is money. There are lots of kids, younger generation nowadays, who don't actually understand that when you're taking money from the ATM, it is money, and what money means, and money is limited. It looks unlimited right now because there's nothing, when we have cash on hand, we can see the cash disappear. But everything you're using in an app, online, they keep sending you. In a child's brain, they are seeing it as an unlimited resource, which is a really dangerous ground. We're talking about Generation Alpha. Who is creating Generation Alpha? We are.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's right.
So for goodness sake, have conversations. Let them understand it is money. It is not free. It is not just there. Okay? There is a physical thing behind it that they need to understand. And it is a depleting resource. So that is one thing that really, that conversation for every parent out there, you kind of need to talk to your kids about money.
Okay, that is another aspect to start them young. Yeah, I think as Malaysians, we hear all the proverbs about saving, right? In English, save for a rainy day. In Bahasa Malaysia, ada sikit-sikit lama-lama jadi bukit. And we've heard all the marketing spiel by all the banks directed to kids way back for our campaign Menabung. We got all those little piggy banks as gifts way back then. And Dr. Anasuya spoke about Generation Alpha, where money now is hardly just physical. Fiat currency is no longer the way. And as Mr. Fauzi mentioned just now, spending is no longer even may not even have the cash and you can make a purchase. So with spending being so more virtual and less physical, we Malaysians, if anything, starting them young now means to bring up that finite nature of money. Yeah? So on that note, we have received a question speaking on the need to get professional help. The question is to follow up on what Dr. Anasuya said earlier about so-called shopping around for counselors, which means that if you are to seek therapy, not be afraid to shop around. Maybe I'm to find the better terms in to change, as I said, to move around and see whether or not it is a good fit. I noticed on social media the term used is good fit. Yeah, so whether or not you can communicate easily and openly with said therapist, that will be the pivotal factor that helps therapy work. And on that note, our question is to follow up on that. Is cost a prohibitive thing in Malaysia right now when it comes to good mental health care, on that note of shopping for doctors? Because now that counselors are you have so many mental health practices popping around and all sending you Instagram ads, by the way, yeah? And each of them, even if they give you a promo price, it's a few 150, 200 ringgit a session? Yeah. Oh, okay, is that an unintentional plug? But yes, and then also we hear of counselors who are just starting out and they would like to clock their hours, and most people go for those. But if you're going to have a long, consistent train of mental health care, what can Malaysians do if factoring in costs and the shopping for the right fit?
Okay, one thing, Malaysia, because we have Lembaga Counsellor Malaysia, so the standard of counselling, if somebody has a license, is set. They know that when you come out, they have the basic knowledge, they have the basic skills of counselling. Because of that, and universities have got strong counselling programs. So because of that, we actually do have a good number of counsellors out there. And like she pointed out, you can go to NGOs and get free counselling. You can go to private centers and get, pay more. And yeah, you do pay for experience. The amount that she quoted from about 120 to about 250 is kind of the average. If you're looking for people like me, we are more expensive. And I don't really give promotional prices anymore. I did that when I was younger. I don't do that anymore. So, I mean, you can shop around. You can look for within your budgets, whatever works. You do have, like in my case, sometimes I do have people that come and see me once or twice and then say, can you refer me to a student who is similar-minded to what I do? Yeah, no problem. And I have no issues doing that, So there are networks nowadays. You can ask counselors for referrals. If you think somebody is too expensive, you can ask them, do you have somebody who had kind of same training as you, same thought pattern as you, but cheaper than you? Most of us will probably say yes. Most of us will probably help you out because we want you to heal as well. Okay?
Yeah, I have to agree. There's a price to the expertise, I'm afraid. You know how exhausting it is to sit down in a session and go through the whole hour of understanding that person, where that person came from, the conditioning, how am I going to advocate for this person? There's a price to it. Unfortunately, like she said, you take it or you get a referral. I don't compromise on my care for the person who walks into my room. And so similarly, my time with that person is precious, right? But saying that, there are, the waiting period is there. I used to be with Sungai Buloh Hospital Psychology Unit, used to see counseling sessions, do counseling sessions there as a trainee when I was in University Malaya. So there are outlets out there to go and seek counseling with the same issues of when is your turn, 3 or 4 months time or 6 months time. Just like you want to go in for a surgery also, it's like that nowadays unless it's an emergency. So yes, that is the issue. But I don't compromise. I don't do this bundle 5+10 packages if you come to me. It doesn't sound right. I'm dealing with a human person, human mind, and it's an expertise that I'm giving out there to help, right? So we don't do that bundle packages. Unfortunately, it comes with the expertise.
Yeah, that's a shopping thing kind of question which I get, and I go, no, sorry, I don't do that. I'm not that good at marketing.
Yeah, if we come for 3 sessions, do we get the last one free? No. Yeah. I hope that answers the question.
Right. Thank you very much. And